Well, the most obvious challenge, I think, is the ups and downs of the market. You know, when you build your project, company, whatever it might be, you have to plan for like really hard times. This bear market we're in right now has been going on for what, 3 years, and people thought it would have been tapering off. You know, I thought we should have started seeing some upside around the halvening last year, depending how you say it. So, you know, that was in April of last year. We're in April of 2025, and altcoins have not seen any reprieve. So you have to not only plan kind of for these cycles, but even the cycles might not always last, right? So you need to have enough you need to be lean enough and have enough runway to build for a long time, which, you know, markets are, they can deal with negative kind of externalities if they're predictable. What markets don't like and businesses don't like is uncertainty. And so our industry has a lot of uncertainty. We have our own internal uncertainty, and then we are also kind of whipped around by the global markets, by these trade wars, by Ukraine war, by Israel war, by COVID, by 2008, all these kind of, I mean, we weren't there yet, but all of these kind of things have a heavy effect on our industry. We're very kind of capital hungry. We're kind of dependent on loose money, you know, from the Fed and Treasury and global markets. I don't think it'll always be like that, and we're finding a way to kind of stand on our own two legs as an industry. I thought it was pretty interesting that the presidential election that just happened. I think it's funny that all we had to do to finally be heard by the politicians, all we had to do was really simple. We should have just known this is all we had to do, was we had to donate more money than every other industry combined.
Yeah.
I mean, or about the same, to be technically. It was 48% of all donations. So half of all donations, meaning we donated as much as pharma, military industrial complex, you know, aerospace, farming, agriculture, mining, every industry in the world combined, we had to donate that much. And we finally got a seat at the table. But
wow,
at least we got a seat at the table.
That's a very interesting statistic as well. And do you feel like right now, like the world is performing as you were hoping it would after Trump's election? I mean, we obviously, as you're saying, we funded so much of the election. Do you think there's a lot more that needs to be done in terms of the US and just internationally actually adopting Web3 and crypto?
Well, I think it's been definitely more positive for crypto than the Biden administration and any previous administration, even the previous Trump administration. I mean, he was negative on Bitcoin before, but like most people, when they learn about it, or I guess when they get enough donations, they're forced to learn about it. I mean, his sons are really into it. I spoke on stage at DeFi World in Denver a couple months ago, just before Donald Trump Jr., and I got to ask him a question. And it was about like what the reserve would look like. And he basically gave me an answer of like, I can't tell you, and I'm not in the administration, but it was a pretty interesting answer, some of the stuff he said. But anyways, I think Trump is generally good for crypto, good for Bitcoin. I think that his whole administration is very pro-crypto. New SEC chair is pro-crypto, but we got to be careful on that, because I thought Gary Gensler was going to be pro-crypto because I took his courses at MIT where he taught, you know, crypto, Bitcoin stuff. And you could take those for free online, by the way. Interesting to see how he talked about it then and how he talked about it when he got into office. But so we thought, I was telling my dad and everyone around me, hey, this is going to be great for crypto. Look, we're getting an SEC chair that's going to be pro crypto.
And then it's like, oh, no,
yeah,
not again.
Yeah, he ended up being pro Bitcoin, but not pro crypto, which is interesting for a Bitcoiner like myself. I mean, he kind of unlocked Bitcoin to go farther, as saying, you know, this is a commodity, it's safe. The other things are basically shit coins, in other words, he said, you know. But anyways, it's interesting. I think we'll probably see him go into crypto in the future to some extent. We saw this happen with the previous chair, Jay Clayton. He was considered the sheriff or crypto sheriff or something. He was very negative on crypto. And then, you know, within 6 months of him being out of office, he was on stage with Larry Fink talking about how, stable coins and crypto could be really changing for the world. And, okay, well, you were really talking a lot of shit on us when you were in office, but these people don't act on their own. It's not actually their job to act on what they believe in. It's their job to act on either what their voters tell them, that's really what it should be, or what the person who put them in place or the other politicians tell them they have to, their mandate.
Yeah, no, that's so true. And of course, we had to digress and discuss Trump and politics. I think it is so important in this space, and probably for founders out there as well. It's understanding the landscape that they're entering into. You also have regulation as well now really coming into play. So for founders that are kind of worried about compliance risk and how to balance that with innovation, what would you suggest is the best ways, Brock, for you that they navigate that?
I mean, that's like could be a 10-hour discussion.
As brief as possible.
Yeah. I think be lean is probably the best thing I could recommend. Keep your team lean. Hope for the best, but always plan for the worst in this industry. You don't know what's going to happen. I mean, for all we know, I don't want to scare the audience, but we could go into, another 2 years of bear market.